Because you were a teacher.
I was indeed.
And you've just been watching these reports. What's your thought and your take on bullying?
It's very frightening. I know when I was a child I was plump, so obviously I had terms of fatty and things like that, and you can't really put your finger on it sometimes. And as a teacher, you know children are bullied. You know who's bullying them, you know how they're being bullied, but you can't find ways of seeing it happen to prove it happens. Very difficult then for teachers to go to parents and say, your child is doing this, because the tendency is to say, oh, my child couldn't do that. And I'm afraid one of my children was a bully, and I couldn't believe that until somebody came to me with proof of it. And that was very difficult as a parent then to know what you do about it.
What's your thought about the way Dave Gorder tackles it when he's saying, you know, you talk, you talk, you talk? It's the way to challenge it.
It is. You have to be able to talk to a grown-up. People put it on social media these days that they are bullied, and name bullies. But again, that is very difficult for a child to be able to do that, especially if by the time you've been bullied a lot, you have very little self-confidence, and the lack of self-confidence makes it worse, and then it's a vicious circle.
To take nothing away from what Dave does and what he says, it's very difficult. It's okay for him to say it to people, but a small child, it's a lot harder, isn't it, to go to anybody?
Yes, indeed, yes.
They then become reclusive. That's
right, and parents are then struggling. They go into schools, and schools are saying, I don't know what we can do. They give talks in assembly. All children can parrot at you about how bullying is bad, but that's no use if the bully then sometimes doesn't even perceive what they're doing as being bad, because a lot of the times these days, I understand, it's a question of, how can we put it, they think it's all right to do it. As in, that's a victim, well, let's get on with it. We were founded in 1915 in response to the requests for extra food production in the First World War, not the Boer War, as somebody said to me the other day. And in Tetton Hall and several other areas, the allotments were created. Now, allotments have obviously been around for a lot longer than that, but there was a huge increase in allotments then. And it encouraged everybody to get out there and grow. Then it transferred to people's gardens and to dig everything up and grow vegetables, really. We lost a lot of flowers during that time that we've had to get back from America. I only found that out a few weeks ago, which I thought was quite fascinating. And it was started by the local bigwigs, you know, like the Thorny Cross from Tetton Hall Towers, or Tetton Hall College as it is now. And then they paid quite a lot of money, and then the rest of the common people like me, we paid a lot less, and probably did all the hard work. But it did increase production tremendously.
And I presume, you know, a lot of people at that time had probably never done anything like that, never thought about it, but the war effort demanded that they did.
Yes, indeed. And a lot of women had to go and do it, because as the men were called up, the younger men, the women were obviously having to take their place, otherwise things wouldn't have happened. So there was especially the people who'd lived in places like Tetton Hall Towers and Compton Hall, their gardeners went, and quite often their gardens were never returned to their former glory because their gardeners died. And they had to get their own hands dirty as well at that point, probably in a nice way.
So is it a whole year of celebration then, is it?
Yes, it is really. We've done 2 events, I think. We've done the round table events and whatever it was earlier in the year, that seems a long time ago now. Oh, the Make It or Bake It, that's right.
Right, yeah.
And we dressed up. I've taken on the persona of middle class housekeeper, shall we say. Society.
We were talking a little earlier about how the war effort primarily, I mean, I suppose it was both wars, was it? The
Yes,
Great War around
indeed.
39-45,
Oh, yes.
where Organisations like this came into their own, didn't they?
They did indeed. Yes, so their advice was invaluable. Their ability to buy things in so that people could have potatoes and mangels, not a thing we grow these days really, loads of beans. It was much easier for these societies to get hold of them and then distribute them to all the other people.
And I suppose a lot of people who got involved in this had never done anything like that before.
Presumably not.
No.
Certainly people, but then people were much more used to the idea of being near to the land. Not in the towns so much, but certainly in places like Tettenhall there must have been.
Because there were not supermarkets stacked with ready meals, and
No,
there were
indeed.
not fast food outlets. Do you, when you see the people in supermarkets now with their trolleys laden with ready meals and all the rest of it, do you wince a little?
No, because I probably got some in myself.
Right. That's very honest of you. Yes.
Why you have to be.
Yeah, but I mean, I speak not from a position of understanding or knowing at all, because I've never done it, either flowers or vegetables. But I mean, there must be a satisfaction in getting your own food out of the ground.
Yes, there is. My personal satisfaction in the last fortnight has been having my small grandchildren emptying out the bags of potatoes. I don't have a very big garden, so we grow our potatoes in sacks, and we've had 3 colanders full, which is great stuff. Not necessarily cheaper, but it's much more exciting, and the children have been so excited about getting them out and then eating them.
Do they taste better?
Yes, they do. Probably psychological, I don't know, but they certainly feel as though they taste better.
Yeah.
And I know they're fresh, and they don't need peeling. And yesterday, 2 of my grandchildren actually ate peas for the first time, straight out of the pod, straight off the plant. Their mother was gobsmacked.
Yeah. What got you into all of this then? What was your first interest?
My father gardened. My mother didn't get green fingers till she was in her 40s, but my father had always grown vegetables and flowers. I can't say that I was very helpful to him. I think it's something that's grown on me as I've got older, really. I think that happens to a lot of people. And certainly looking at our society, we're on the older spectrum for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Put that
Okay.
nicely.
Yes, you did, yes.
And I like gardens, and I have to do more now because my partner, who used to be the head gardener at Bantock Park, is now incapacitated, so I have to look after our garden. Thank goodness it is small. We cater for the whole of the spectrum, really. It's not run on RHS standards and things like that. It used to be, so
Right.
that, for example, if there was only you entering that category, then you could get 3rd place. These days, though, we insist that everybody has a 1st, 2nd, 3rd place. So if you are the only entry, you will get a 1st place.
And there are jars of jam and all that sort of thing?
Oh,
homemade,
lovely
yeah?
jars
Yeah.
of jam. We had a huge amount of people enter last year, and the poor judge was absolutely stuffed by the time she'd finished going round.
Did she have to taste them all?
She does indeed.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's very much the Mary Berry type.
Is there a lot of rivalry? I kind of imagine
Oh.
in a... I don't want to put you on the spot here. I don't want to cause a rift in the Tettenhall District Horticultural Society. But I mean, areas like this, I mean, people are naturally fairly competitive, aren't they? And I'm just wondering if there is a bit of sniffing of sometimes.
There is occasionally, not always. It's not like, say, the Great Yorkshire Show, where there are people who've been growing the giant pumpkin for donkey's years and hate the bloke next door. But there are sometimes complaints to the judge, as in, I don't see why that one won and this one won. So you have to make sure that there are comments written down and marks, so that everybody's on the same understanding, and tough luck.
Do you do any judging yourself?
No, I follow the judges round. We've got
You're the
properly
bodyguard,
trained.
aren't you?
Well, no, you have to make sure that they play fair.
Yeah, okay. And the nice thing is, I mean, at the end of it all, you auction all the stuff off, don't you, or people can buy it?
Yes, people can buy, not everything, but some people will have their stuff auctioned off, and that goes towards our charity as well.
And that charity is?
It's Macmillan Nurses this year, because the lady who wrote the book, Prue Coleman, is riding on a bike, oh my goodness, from John O'Groats to Land's End, or the other way around, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And she waived her fee in return for us sponsoring her.
That's,
So we
and
trying
how
to
much
raise
is
some
that bike ride going to raise then? Do we know?
I have no idea,
No.
and neither is she to some extent.
It's quite something to take on. When does she do that?
During the 6 weeks holiday, because she teaches.
Right. Okay. And so your big day, the show is the 5th of September, isn't it?
Yes.
And as you say, a lot of the stuff is auctioned off. How much do you reckon you will make on a day like that? Do you know?
Well, it quite often runs at a loss. It is, by the time we've hired the Tetton Hall College Hall and we've paid for the cost of producing the programme and a range of other things, it can be anywhere between £20 to £100 loss. But this year we should make a profit. Because we've had a lot of advertising from a lot of very kind people in the programme. So fingers crossed.
Membership good, is it, these days?
It's not as good as it used to be. We are still the largest in the Staffordshire area, and we're the oldest.
Right.
And we are one of the last village shows.